Hi, I'm Kathy Ellerman and this is Almeria Life, bringing you an insight into life here on the Costa Almeria and brought to you by Remax Paris, so the experts in property sales in this part of Spain. And today we're thinking about outdoor activities, making the most of the fantastic landscape and, well, very appropriately this week, the weather, because we've got real spring-like temperatures here this week. And I'm talking to Barry Naylor from the Mojácar Walking Group, who's very kindly popped in to see us. And, well, Barry, you were explaining to me that the Mojácar Walking Group has been going for a long time now.
It started in 1986 by two expatriates, Anne and Carter, and her husband, and they were sort of getting together with people who'd come to live here in the mid-80s who had nothing to do except sit on bar stools or whatever. And of course, like you just mentioned, the beautiful countryside. And they decided to just form a few group of friends and walk around the hills and start planning little routes. And in the early days, they had probably about 10 different routes where they used to walk around and probably have lunch out somewhere and then they'd come back. And then that was taken over. I think Anne's husband died and she went to live with her family in New Zealand. And it was taken on by another member who looked after the walks. And then I came to live in Spain in 2002, my wife, who retired when we were 50, and we decided to get away from the rat race and just do something totally different. And again, we didn't want to end up on bar stools in bars, so we joined the walking group as it was then. And then they had about between 12 and 20 walks, where they used to badger people, will you do a walk in your area, will you do a walk in your area?
Yeah.
And then the guy who used to run it, Gordon Elliott, now retired and gone back to England, he just, at one dinner we had one evening, just stood up and announced that I was taking over.
Right, so you were thrown in at the deep end then, yes.
And that was the end of the season, which would be March, and myself and my wife and Johnny Haynes, a friend locally, we went out and learned as many routes as possible. And then I invested in a GPS unit and I mapped everything.
Wow.
And plonked it onto like Google Earth and things like that. It was just up and coming in the early 2000s. And now we have 80 walks.
Really?
80?
And are all the walks nearby around the...
Majority, yes. We around Bedar on the hills around there and Falabres. Up on the hill, the Brighter here, along the Playa, Athenas. And over towards Villaricos, up in the mines and Los Lobos, all fairly close. There's a few we do outside of that. It's the Sunseed area around there.
Oh gosh, yes.
And we do Rodalquila, the gold mines,
right,
where we were just before Christmas. We happened to walk in on the set of Exodus.
How exciting! So there is really, you really go relatively far afield, because of course there are some marvellous
absolutely.
places to explore in this area. Now, I have to ask, is this really a group for serious hikers, or are there different levels of walking? There are people who are perhaps not super fit, can they take part?
Yeah, well, on our website, if you look, there's three grades of walks. There's red, which is difficult, and blue and medium, which will suit most hikers, and green, which is very easy.
Right.
And it seems to work, because on the information I give on the schedules, it tells you how far, how high, and how long, and what the terrain is like. And now I'm gradually building actually photographic evidence of the walk from beginning to end, so people say, that's what I'm listening to that film for.
Right, so people know before they even start out. Yeah. So who are the members? Who come on the walk?
Mainly people who have done lots of walking in Northern Europe. In England, lots of people come from England, of course, but Dutch, Belgian, Germans, a few Spanish. But as we're walking midweek, they tend to be working. But the average age group, I would say, is between like 55 and 75.
Right, okay.
Got a couple in the 80s.
Really? So people perhaps have a little bit more time on their hands to go walking. And how often does the group meet up? How often do you go on the walk?
We commence the season at the end of September, the first week in October.
Yeah, so July and August, no.
No. There are some groups that do, I must admit. Then we finish officially the end of March, but a few of us will continue on through April and May, depending on the weather. Once it gets too hot, then it's too dangerous.
Yeah.
So we do 6 months, 2 Tuesdays and Thursdays every week.
Right, so there's plenty of opportunity for people to go on the walks and to see sort of a different side of the area as well from the walking.
Well, you do, because when we first came here, we came here in 2001 for a holiday, and I looked around and thought, oh my goodness, what have we come to? We're going to live here. But once you get in the campo, you're not on the beach, you're not a holidaymaker.
Yeah.
You're seeing the wildlife, you're seeing the flowers going up in spring, and then you suddenly realise there is a season, there are seasons here.
Yes.
There's certain things you'll see at a certain time of the year, and we've seen wild boar, we've seen all sorts of birds and vultures and eagles and plants and frogs, everything.
Wow.
And tortoise all over the place.
Wow. So it's really, really kind of getting in touch with nature.
It is, yeah. And we have quite a few people from the Ramblers from the UK who come and then join in with the walk. The only criteria I make is that you fill out a registration form, which is then sort of excusing us, so we're not responsible for you. We cannot be medically responsible for you if you're fit. It's a self-certification in a way, and it's saying that nobody from the group is responsible if anybody slips or falls or injures.
Right. Okay.
So,
which obviously doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen, but that many people. I mean, we've had 80 people on one walk one day.
Good heavens.
And that was one of the easier walks.
Yeah.
The more difficult walks, like we had yesterday, maybe 15 of us yesterday.
Yeah, right. So for sort of real serious hikers only.
It is, but then they can see it's what it says it does on the tin. Right?
Yeah.
And people know what they're capable of, well, they should do.
Right.
And if they're going to beyond that, it's silly to do that. So do something you know you cannot do.
And obviously to wear the right
gear,
yeah.
I mean, luckily in this climate here, you don't have to, like in the Lake District of England, you have to go out with 3 changes of clothes, wet weather, snow, whatever. So at least here, it just brings water and some food for a lunch. We have to sit down in the hills and have a little lunch and then get off again.
Sounds really fun as well. It sounds like it's a really nice, it's a nice way of meeting people.
And more importantly, I think it's a social network, just like Facebook and Twitter and all of those things. People get to know each other, and they come back maybe the following year, or they even live here, and they get little groups of people that then go out to dinner or go out to dances or shows or whatever.
Nice.
It's a very social thing, and people make friends here that last.
That's really nice. And I mean, I'm sure there may well be people watching this who think, I'd really like to come on some of the walks, get involved. There is an excellent website, which is Mojácar Walking Group.
Don't forget the 2 G's.
Don't forget the 2 G's, mojacarwalkinggroup.com. Or can they get in touch with you, or is it best to go onto the website?
It's best to look at the website first if they can possibly do that, and then they will see what they're letting themselves in for.
Right.
They'll see what we're all about, what we require from everybody else. And the other thing I'd like to mention is that during every walk we collect €1 from everybody, which goes towards Aspradalba in children, the adults with learning difficulties.
Yes.
And each year we collect about €1,500, €1,600.
Oh, that's tremendous. So also, it's a nice way of raising money for an extremely worthy local cause as well.
And you see, we can do the walking, whereas these other people cannot do the walking, and we give them something back.
Sure.
And €1 each. I mean, what can you do for €1? You can just get a coffee.
Yeah. Oh, what a lovely sentiment as well. Well, it's fascinating. I'm saying maybe I should have a bit more time. You might find me donning my hiking boots and joining you. And presumably, more people are welcome.
Oh, absolutely. We've got nearly 800 members. Well, I say members who have registered.
Yes.
They may not come again, they may come on holiday, and they may just come down for a short visit, never come again, or they may come back every year. But what the website does is for the people who regularly walk, their families back in Germany, England or whatever, can look at the website and say, that's what my son's doing, that's what my daughter's doing, that's what my family are doing. Yeah. And they can see, and they can look through the photographs and say, oh, there they are, that's what they've done. And
wonderful thing, social media and internet.
And we do have links on that to Facebook and to Twitter. So, anybody wants to join?
just have a look on the
Just
net
look at the website
and it's all there.
See if it's for you.
Yeah. Great stuff. Well, Barry, thank you ever so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in. And yet another example of something really, really interesting to do in this area.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.